Sit on back, get you some lemonade.
What happened was definitely self-inflicted. We brought it on ourselves.
What happened was very severe. It left an imprint on me, mentally, emotionally. Something I will never forget.
I will forever have that etched in my mind. Like your face, the way your just whole demeanor was. I mean, it wasn't you.
No.
You know, I mean, and I know you, and that was not you whatsoever.
When you do shit like that, shit like what happens. So
That really did blow my mind though, cause like I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, what if this was a point of no return? What if he goes so far that we can't get him out? If we keep on pushing this is gonna end up bad.
If you watch the video and you just look at it and say that didn't happen, you weren't there. You didn't feel the feelings that we felt. You didn't see what we saw. You didn't have the images of your best friend murdering the rest of his team pop up in your head at the same time he did. Until you go through it, you don't understand it.
we took and put Alex Bob's mirror and our mirror on the tables. Casey, Alex Bob, Fioli, Matt Wyatt.
I could feel the table. I could feel a vibration in the table. And I don't mean like somebody shaking it like that. I hope that was a good effect. But a vibration, actually. And it started to concern me a little bit.
It started to make him shake a lot more. His hands were clenching up like so hard I couldn't even believe how his knuckles were going. It was like a contortion. And it felt like it was almost trying to use like my energy to further harm Matt.
I was adamant about getting him out. I was adamant about, I think we stopped once I went out for something, I think batteries or something, and I came back in and I heard him telling somebody about he just had this weird thought like he was just fucking aggravated and he wanted to slit my throat, and I heard him saying that and I said, dude, what? And he was like, yeah bro, I had this feeling like I wanted to slit your fucking throat. And I was like, you need to get the fuck out of here right now. I just went and got the sage, lit it up, and started following him around. And he wasn't so much agitated, he wasn't like hostile against it, it was making him sick. And he was like, I really don't want you to do that right now, which is absolutely not something he would ever say. He would always be down to sage, especially if myself, let alone somebody else, is like, hey man, I don't like the way this is looking, I don't like how it's going down, I think you should ground yourself, I think you should protect yourself a little bit. He wouldn't be opposed to that.
Your emotions are the first things that these darker things can tend to kind of pick at, because it's just like a wound that it's ready to just go, here's my entrance, I'm gonna peel this back and I'm gonna start seeping into you a little bit more here and there. So I don't know personally if I would have wanted to be part of that experiment myself, after kind of watching it, I mean, it was pretty intense.
Whatever the case, whatever it was, is definitely a powerful thing that can control or can affect multiple people at once, which is pretty wild.
I know everyone's not going to understand, and that's fine. This was a personal experience. This is not a film about paranormal activity. This had everything to do with letting my guard down, all of us letting our guards down, and shit got real. I get constant reminders of what happened, flashbacks of visions I saw and things I was experiencing that first week. And second week was lots of anger and depression and lots of things I was dealing with mentally. And
My only thought and worry is who's next.
You've now given it an invitation. So don't be surprised when you send out the invitation that something answers. And it may not be something that you want.
Keeps telling me that he wants to hurt her.
Like he needs to go outside. Yeah. I wanted to like almost break my own neck. Like, I don't know, man. I don't feel right.
Matt is stronger than what you're trying to do to him, and collectively, or we are far stronger. Fioli, relax, bro. Chill out.
You should have knew I was coming. Yeah, surprise. You should have knew I was coming. You should have known. Damn. You should have knew I was coming. I've been away for a minute, but now that I'm back, you were done with. You knew I was coming. Run it.
What happened inside of Hales Bar Dam was an experience, to say the least. We went in there, that's probably our 30th time inside of Hales Bar Dam. So we were expecting the typical Hales Bar Dam, and that first night we got absolutely nothing. There was zero feelings, zero, anything acting up, as far as equipment wise goes, which is a typical night for the, paranormal. I mean, it happens is what I'm trying to say. It happens. And I went to bed that night very discouraged, because although that happens in the paranormal, it's never happened at Hales Bar Dam. I went to bed, woke up, and I said, you know what? We're gonna have a better day today. And Alex Bob showed up.
Who's over here with me?
I'm gonna need a battery.
I got one in my bag.
Paranormal can be a tricky thing. You have your nights where absolutely nothing happens. As you can see, we were just kind of walking through. I didn't want to make it a long video of showing absolutely nothing happened, because that would be absolutely horrendous to watch. But nothing happened. And that happens. I mean, you go to locations and, you just have your off nights. So I was thinking, okay, maybe it's just one of those nights. Maybe we need to try something different, the next day that we went, and, we did.
First time we're there, we go to check out the activity and we're investigating, and just didn't seem to be energetic at all. Nothing really seemed to be happening, which was almost, it wasn't just a shock, it was really a letdown to us as Gateway. I speak for everybody, I'm pretty sure. We've had a lot of time spent there. We love that location. And we're so used to all this tons of activity happening and stuff really, freaking you out in different situations, but it just wasn't there. And we got a little complacent, we got a little comfortable, and I think it showed the next night. We went in a little willy-nilly, as in we experienced the night before there wasn't much there. I think we were all still being optimistic, but we didn't really run into much. And so we thought if we needed to get rid of any whatever possibly negative spirits would be in that location, that we needed to open up some communication somehow, because it's non-existent.
So, like I said, we were like, well, maybe it's just going to be a slow start. We still got, all day Saturday to see what happens and get, everything kind of amped up in here. So, I recall, everybody, kind of going, all right, well, man, let's get back to the cabin. Let's kind of, call it a night. Let's get at it. Tomorrow, I think we were kind of almost defeated a little bit, because we didn't have that typical, like, holy shit, man, it's Hales Bar. It's the things that we've seen at Hales Bar is the only reason that we were, like, kind of really let down, because that place has always been
So, can you explain a little bit about what we're doing right this second?
Well, you explained earlier today too.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier today, Alex Bob came in from Alabama, and yesterday, obviously, you guys will see that not a lot happened for us. So we decided to take our scrying mirror and Alex Bob's scrying mirror, let them charge, and they've been in here since 1 o'clock, and it's now 8 o'clock. So Alex Bob is here, all the way from Bama.
Hey guys, Alex here. So the Hales Bar Dam experience, when we first got there, the guys had told me that it wasn't too active the night before, which was surprising to hear because usually the place is extremely active. Then we decided to put our black mirrors, our black scrying mirrors into the tunnels, and when Matt brought his mirror out, he let me hold it, and I felt like my hands started tingling, and I felt this tingling sensation kind of rush through my arms. I'm here. Going in there for the first time earlier, we all felt it. Something was different than the last time I was here in December. Just chills all over my body, even on my head, and it was kind of like pulsing. It would be like the chills would come, and then they would go, then they'd come back. We were hearing sounds around us and things like that. And then when we first opened the mirror, he felt something on his neck,
Which is now turned into this. What happened was they didn't start doing anything until that mirror opened up.
So
Not saying the mirror didn't.
What's on the chain?
My protection stone.
Hello, my name is Bishop James Long, and I am the exorcist for the United States Old Catholic Church. I am a validly trained exorcist, and as of today, I have performed 28 documented exorcisms and thousands of home blessings. I am the original paranormal clergy, in that I started the paranormal clergy 20 years ago so that I could help the paranormal community. My friend Matt Fioli had contacted me because they had an investigation, and he wanted me to view a video and just kind of give my feedback on what I thought. And there were a couple of things, and I have my notepad here, so if I look down, that's why I'm looking down. But one of the things that I saw, of course, immediately was the scratch on one of the investigators on the neck. That is common. When you're dealing with any type of activity, especially malevolent or demonic, it is very common to be violated. This type of stuff, anytime it violates your private, your body, your space, that is certainly malevolent, and you have to be very careful.
Alex Bob came out and decided, we're going to put both of our mirrors in the tunnels. And to explain a little bit on that, the theory is that the black scrying mirrors can harness energy from different locations or different sessions that you do. It will hold that energy there and basically gain attachments. Now, when you pull them out into different locations, that stuff's not just going to be going out there and going into these locations you're opening up and opening them up into. So just so that's out of the way, that's not how those things work. But what does happen is, like I said, they hold energy, and you can use them as an investigative tool. So I said, yeah, let's use them. So let's spark it up. There was absolutely nothing happening. So Alex Bob says, let's do a seance. And before y'all get all out of hand with this, we literally just sat at the table and held our hands on the table. It wasn't no crazy, satanic crap or anything like that. So it was literally just connecting energy with something that harnesses energy. And things got a little out of hand. Like I said, I think with my guard being down from the night before and not having much of a feeling the second day, I was in there just kind of like, well, we'll see if anything happens. I don't think it will, and I was a little wrong.
And just to clarify, last weekend, Alex Bob, Bigfoot Bob, was at MadCon 2, and you guys did a seance at a table. And what happened to you then?
It's a long story, but basically, long story short, the table felt like it was like pulsing with energy, and then I started to sense that something bad was in the room. Whatever this thing was attempted to possess me to the point where my body was like contorting and I was growling, but I was almost like channeling this thing. And then it also affected my friend Keith. And the second time we went into the room, his face completely changed. It just wasn't him anymore, and yeah, it just got kind of weird.
So what he has told us, what he has said is, if that happens tonight during the seance, film it.
Should I tackle him?
No, film it. Let him channel. He's already going to tell it. Channel through him.
So aside from that, can we explain what's going on in the dam at this moment?
So at this moment, Matt Fioli has decided to go in to the tunnels, which is, I think in all of our opinions, probably one of the worst places to be by yourself, after the mayors have been charging for 7 hours.
And to be fair to him, he didn't decide. I just said do it, and he was like, all right, bet.
He still decided.
He's doing
it. Said it to me
Good
out of
for
it
him.
like this. Fuck you, dog.
So we sent him in the dark.
All he has is a camera.
We have not been in,
No
no equipment, just a camera. And as you can see, if you can see, right behind Alex, there's the door to the dam. And I will tell you guys, this whole time I've been filming, I've been having trouble with focus, especially when Alex Bob walked into the picture, like focus was an issue. Perfect. Well,
Those people still on there?
Yeah.
let me focus on you. Hang
That
on.
lady scared the shit out of me, bro.
Those people?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet. Because they took off running.
Matt, come here.
They're still down there.
So, how was it?
I heard footsteps, and that was about it. But I did hear somebody like walking up on me. So
How did it feel there compared to yesterday?
100% honesty.
there's definitely, I can definitely feel more energy today. It's not like what we're used to, but there's definitely something in there.
We're about to find out.
So, when we started the investigation, we decided to do a Black Mirror seance with 7 candles at the table. Tonight we want complete communication with you. We want to fully lift the veil. We want you to come and join us at this table.
Bro, I have like pulsing feeling. It almost feels
Yeah, the
like my
table
hand
feels
is on this
crazy.
waterbed. Yes. It's like,
I just had cold blast rush all on me from underneath this table.
Casey, Alex Bob, Fioli, Matt Wyatt. They kind of channeled their energy through a collective, just, trying to get on that level, I guess, trying to find that energy.
Can you please stop beeping the room phone?
What the fuck? Okay.
keep seeing this swarm. I'm seeing like a little girl with like white dress on, like this fucked up face.
And some candles just flickering from a distance.
What the fuck was that?
Just back here. So what's the overall feeling right now?
There's a lot more energy in here than there
fucking
was
heavy.
last night. Yes.
I feel like my fingers pulsating and like it feels so heavy.
It literally feels like essentially water veil is one thing, but like feels like you're essentially, you put your hand on like someone's stomach, they're breathing this.
At first, I felt like I could feel almost this wave pressure going like this, and then I could honestly feel like a pulsating, like a heartbeat type of thing.
One of my visions I just had was something was making its way from Williamsburg down to here.
It's had like a bad anxiety wave, like my heart started feeling weird.
I had that when we were focusing, and I also had a little like trouble breathing.
Yeah.
I was like, I have an orange light on the table in front of my hands. We're asking you to find your way to our candle lights to communicate with us. Say your responses very loudly and slowly into this orange light that's in front of my hands. Can you come communicate and identify yourself? What purpose do you serve here? Do you stay here? Do you come and go as you please? Are you ancient? Can you identify anyone here?
Seance, crossroads. I have an orange light on the table in front of my hands. We're asking you to find your way to our candle lights to communicate with us. Say your responses very loudly and slowly into this orange light that's in front of my hands. Can you come communicate and identify yourself? What purpose do you serve here? Do you stay here? Do you come and go as you please? Are you ancient? Are you ancient?
Yes. You heard it, didn't you?
Are you ancient?
Yes. Something's pulling me that way. I mean, aside from the sounds that we've gotten, I just feel like there's something back over there. It's that whole hiding thing we talked about. It's like it's timid, maybe.
I don't know, I feel it trying to channel through.
Anybody get anything?
I keep picking up that whatever that thing is curious about us. It's like watching us.
Yeah. It's not what was here before.
I don't know, man. I don't feel right.
It's not what was here before. You don't feel right how? Be more specific. Like, do you need to go outside or don't feel right? Or
I don't know, man.
you feel
I
thrown
kinda-
off? Because I feel
I
thrown
kind of
off.
just lost it for a little bit. I know at one point my whole body was like starting to shake. My hands are like burning.
Yeah, I feel like fucking rocks.
My hands feel like I just broke all my fingers.
Yeah, I mean, your hands were like this.
What were you saying?
Like, I don't even know. I don't know what happened.
The two things that I really picked up on that I was focusing on was I saw like this opposition. It almost looked like two opposing force fields like hitting, and there was a straight line in between, like there was some kind of a juxtaposition of whatever's happening here. And I got figures of the goat head. I got the goat man thing several times.
Mine was.
I wanted to like almost break my own neck, like, by just like twisting it. And then I let go of the table.
What was weird is that one moment I like looked over at you and I could tell something was messing with you, but like whatever was in my head was like telling it to like keep doing it or something. And I was just like looking at you, and then I was feeling my head was starting to like move around in circles and stuff. It felt like
You were kind of doing sort of one of these deals. You're sort of swaying a little bit.
and then like I picked up on what I thought was the goat man too, but then I saw something else that like almost looked like a dragon or something.
See, that's what mine was. I got something. It was like I was going through the whole damn super fast, but it was on a motion like this, and then we stopped. The whirlpool room.
I picked up on the whirlpool room too. In fact, at one point I was almost gonna be like, we need to be in the whirlpool room.
Well, I stopped in the whirlpool room, and then I'm like, I can't say it because I was whatever. I was just flowing with it, and it looked back, or I looked back at the Captain by Linda's room, and it was just pitch black up there. There was no light going through nothing. And then I came back, and it was like, I felt like I was just going through here. I could see the
I've seen
beginnings
something.
every time I passed by.
Like walking down from Linda's area.
At one point, I
And
almost
then-
said it's here. Like,
Then it like walked up. Like I was seeing out of this what this thing was. Like I don't know what it looked like. And it like walked up to me, and then like we switched spots.
One of the things also, the video shows that the investigators were sitting around the table and they had their hands flat on the table and they really were using their senses, their body. This is very, very dangerous to do. Anytime you use your body as a vessel to communicate with the dead, the spirit world, you are absolutely, without question, opening yourself up to receiving something that you don't want to receive.
I started getting into a sort of like trancey state. Like my kind of started to go in little circles and just kind of feeling this trance kind of come over me. I was still aware though of what was going on around me, and I could feel that Matt Fioli was starting to kind of clench his hands, and he was shaking a little bit.
Matt seemed to be getting the worst of it, and I could feel his nervousness. I could feel his everything through the table. I don't know how to describe it to you.
I'm still just zoned out.
come to me.
That's hurting Malik.
Kelly.
I heard that clearly. 5 spirits.
That go off.
I heard, "Ha, come on upstairs."
In the south of
Get up.
Sorry.
Keeps or something keeps telling me that it wants to hurt Matt. Did you? I just felt something touch my pinky. I thought it was your hand, but it's not.
Is there something here that wants to hurt Violi?
I keep seeing the goat man doing like this, like he's orchestrating stuff.
Is that Matt? Are you shaking Matt? I think it's I can't stop shaking. It's just doing something to Matt is what I'm feeling.
Yeah, he's like gyrating. Open your eyes, ground yourself.
Being naughty.
Matt is stronger than what you're trying to do to him, and collectively, or we are far stronger. We ask for your communication,
He's done that whole way.
but you do not get to intrude.
One of the investigators actually said when they saw that Matt was actually shaking, which is actually quite common for absolutely during a demonic attachment or coming through. But it's also common as well through a human spirit, so you got to be careful. But one of the investigators next to Matt said, "We are stronger." And he also said, "We ask for communication, but you are not allowed to intrude." Okay, again, if you're dealing with a demonic entity, it doesn't care if you say, "We don't want you to intrude," because the demonic entity is looking at you and saying, "Watch me."
Nobody else heard that. I'm gonna chalk that one up, because I swear I just heard a growl right down this fucking hallway.
He's down the hallway.
Damn it.
If there is a presence here that is capable of affecting Matt that way, why did you stand off last night? Why didn't you make your presence known to us last night?
Even Matt's posture. I mean, in the beginning, he had this strong posture, but it almost looked like he clearly, something was manipulating his energy source, his body, for the sole purpose of communication. You absolutely see this. I mean, everything through the entire video, you see that occur.
There's a ton of leaves coming through.
You see Matt's hand begin to kind of contort. You see this, and that is troubling for me when I saw it, because clearly there is something, whether it be just a human spirit trying to make contact, or malevolent demonic spirit using his body for the sole purpose of communicating with the investigators. This is really incredibly dangerous, because you are using your body as a vessel.
Try. Yeah.
Through all that, I heard, fix it, please. Bless God. There's so much anger and hatred coming through. Like, directed right at us. Bite to the front. Fioli, relax, bro. Chill out. Come on.
And Matt Wyatt was trying to sort of protect Matt because Matt started to feel worse and worse.
I wanted to focus my energy and focus in on what we were trying to achieve there, but I couldn't. I was distracted so heavily. Watching over Matt and watching over Alex and watching over Casey and seeing the different things that were happening, I couldn't. I had to have my eyes open and check on everybody.
It wants him very bad.
His head sinks lower and lower, and his fingers are fucking white pressing on this table, and you can feel him just.
It feels like it keeps making me look over at him, and I'm having to
fight it.
It's like trying to use. It's not trying to affect me as much as it's trying to use me to like help it affect him. That's what it feels like to me, and it keeps like directing me.
Does somebody just fucking vape? Anything? It does look like mad cloudy in here.
No, I just saw.
I don't know what the fuck it was. Right here.
Go right there. Like.
I don't see nothing on the camera.
Did I just say Anubis?
Say what?
Anubis.
I thought I heard it. Which one is it?
Sarah.
What?
That's fucking movie.
I don't know, I just keep losing control. I'm gonna like hang on for dear life on this table.
I can't keep shaking the idea that I need to get Matt out of here for a minute. I'm just telling you. Like, I've constantly been thinking that. Like, he needs to go outside for a minute. He ain't gonna go.
It's noon. Bro.
What is?
Relax.
I'm having to fight this thing, man.
I don't think, I'm sure you can feel it, but my whole side of the table is like, he's fucking gyrating into the table.
Every time you stop him, he gets super pissed.
Not him. Every time I stop him, Matt like goes.
He's not getting pissed.
No, I'm talking about like you can see him go. Oh shit! Like
I feel fine right now. My hands, I want to touch the table, but I don't feel the same as I did last week. But I feel like it really wants me mad.
Ever since Matt took his off, my left hand is jumping right now, and my chest got super fucking tight.
I almost, well, I got that tight chest thing. I almost felt like you and I were sort of the barrier, like it was blocking. We had to like close this side of the circle almost. That's why it almost seemed like it was mirroring. That's kind of what I was feeling.
That was
the whole
both
thing.
hands. Exact same.
It's just you and Alex on the table now.
Strong as fuck, dude.
We're gonna be so bad.
Go pee.
I went out for something, I think batteries or something, and I came back in and I heard him telling somebody about he just had this weird thought like he was just fucking aggravated and he wanted to slit my throat, and I heard him saying that and I said, dude, what? And he was like, yeah bro, I had this feeling like I wanted to slit your fucking throat. And I was like, you need to get the fuck out of here right now. And that was when we went outside.
My perspective was so bizarre. Watching everybody kind of in that moment was, you know, very peculiar. You know, watching everybody's bodies, you know, and how, you know, their body would react to all of this stuff that was going on. You know, when you do shit like that, you know, shit like what happens. So, you know, I do believe that Fioli and Casey were both kind of affected negatively. You know, I think anger had set in, you know, and I believe that when you were already kind of, you know, had a bad experience the night before and you're putting yourself in these positions, your emotions are the first things that these darker things can tend to kind of pick at.
I'm sitting there thinking that this is the one thing that we try to prepare ourselves for the most. But when the situation came at hand, I felt so unprepared. I felt completely helpless that my buddy was like near to possession, if not pretty much possessed. I couldn't do anything for him. So I just keep filming. You know, I do what I'm supposed to do, and I just keep filming. And the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, man, you know, my boy, he's in trouble. He's in trouble and he needs to get out. And by that time I start seeing his fingers twist up and his eyes go back in his head and
Well, you gotta get your fucking ass outside.
Guess you want to document that? What happened? The SD cards up that way.
We have one upstairs or in the cabin or something.
I was just grabbing a cigarette, please.
Yeah, all right, bro. Yeah. You all right, bro?
and he starts walking out and I'm in front of him. I sit there and I have the camera to my side facing up towards him, filming as we're leaving. And there was a point where I could see how emotionally broke down he was. When he went to lean up, he was bent down and he went to lean up and I saw his eyes glassy, like he was crying. And that moment, like it really got to me inside. And I pray that those kind of situations will never happen. I'd be okay with crazy orbs every other time if that situation didn't have to occur again. But it did, and you know, he had to work through it, and You know, of course, we're there for him.
You all right, bro?
You good, bro?
I don't feel right. Bro, I don't want you to do that shit right now. Of course you don't.
I started to sage. Something told me, hey man, let's start making some preemptive strikes here, some precautionary measures. And I was like, I didn't even ask Matt. I just went and got the sage, lit it up, and started following him around. And he wasn't so much agitated. He wasn't like hostile against it. It was making him sick. And he was like, I really don't want you to do that right now, which is absolutely not something he would ever say. He would always be down to sage, especially if myself, let alone somebody else, is like, hey man, I don't like the way this is looking. I don't like how it's going down. I think you should ground yourself. I think you should protect yourself a little bit. He wouldn't be opposed to that. So it was making him sick, and he was kind of running away from me a little bit. He ended up sitting on the truck bed for a little bit, and for whatever reason, I decided to sage underneath his feet. And it was a really weird thing to watch him react to the sage. Normally, we welcome it. It's a familiar, positive thing for us. But that kind of told me something as far as what he was dealing with.
And at the end, Matt doesn't want to be saged. And I thought that was interesting, but actually common. When a demonic entity begins to use your body, manipulate your emotions, your senses, for the sole purpose of either intimidation or communication, it is very common for when the person leaves the area to either be sick, very dizzy, not just feeling the horrible feeling of just, and not wanting any part of blessings or holy water or holy oil, anything, sage, anything. That's actually very common.
Once we got everybody outside, let everybody get some air and kind of get out of there, you know, we took about a 15 to 20 minute break and then kind of talked for another, 15, 20 minutes and decided we were going to kind of go back in there and see what kind of activity was, still kind of present. And, we walked in after everybody was good and kind of kept an eye on everybody. And, it was one of those situations where it's like, why would you go back in there?
Does it feel the same? It's way different. Like, burning like ash outside. Well, it's.
Y'all ever notice this help on the wall?
No.
It's like written in ash.
I've never seen that.
Oh my God.
You make it swing harder. Come on, make it swing as hard as you can.
You hear that like beep?
Yeah.
Almost sounded like a robot like down there.
It's that panic, man.
Make that green one swing down there.
Can you make one on this side and one on that side? Swing.
There's nothing to be said out down there. That's great.
That's why I put it in that threshold of the mechanics room, because to get in here from that whole building, you have to go through there.
What was weird about that one too, it started out just ticking, and then started thin this.
Damn.
We can hear you.
What happened was very severe. It left an imprint on me, mentally, emotionally. Something I will never forget. And I get constant reminders of what happened, flashbacks of visions I saw and things I was experiencing that first week. And second week was lots of anger and depression. And for people to watch this, I know everyone's not going to understand, and that's fine. This was a personal experience. This is not a film about paranormal activity that's going in and investigating a building and things are happening. This had nothing to do with Hales Bar Dam. This had everything to do with letting my guard down, all of us letting our guards down, and shit got real.
What happened was definitely self-inflicted. We brought it on ourselves. My opinion is that we spent so much time investigating in there, and when nothing happened, we let our guards down. We didn't do the proper procedures like we normally do. We didn't do any sort of protection prayers. If you watch the video and you just look at it and say that didn't happen, you weren't there. You didn't feel the feelings that we felt. You didn't see what we saw. You didn't have the images of your best friend murdering the rest of his team pop up in your head at the same time he did. Until you go through it, you don't understand it. And at this point, every time we investigate, that's where my mind goes now. It's not that's over. In my opinion, it's just the beginning. Whatever we dealt with that night that almost took Matt, it's gonna come back. I mean, we can't stay away from the mirror. We can't stay away from doing what we're doing. So we're gonna deal with it again. And my only thought and worry is who's next.
Whatever the case, whatever it was, is definitely a powerful thing that can control or can affect multiple people at once, which is pretty wild. So
it's not always, good evidence that's, presented with the lights and the whistles. It's, the emotional stuff that kind of goes with it too. And personal experience on these things are hard to explain, and sometimes you feel crazy for talking about it. So, you really shouldn't judge anybody until you've been there and had to deal with it. It's something that is, almost traumatic, to a lot of degrees. So, don't judge, how these things happen to us and for what we do. I mean, somebody's got to do it.
It has molded our thought process on how to experiment moving forward. How far do you open yourself up? How far do you go? It's the simplest way to put it. It was impactful. I mean, we've gone through some impactful situations with other people on the team before, and it doesn't matter who it is. Every time, it's hard to see. And I just continue to hope and pray that I can stay positive, and the next time it's not me.
Based on what I saw in the video, I would say that the team made some type of communication with, I think, either a malevolent spirit or perhaps even a demonic. And that is when you have to close things down. That's when you stop. That's when you say, okay, this is enough. Because the consequences really are severe. You certainly don't want an attachment. That is one thing you absolutely do not want. But once you open yourself up to receiving messages or receiving energy, once you do that, then you become a target. And I understand people are going to say, well, Bishop Long, what's the use of prayer and all this other? Well, you pray to protect yourself. But the minute that you walk into a place And the minute you say, if you do something, or if there's anything here, touch me or push this or put, you now have the invitation. You've now given it an invitation. So don't be surprised when you send out the invitation that something answers. And it may not be something that you want.
I will forever have that image, because of course I can't see him. We're in pitch darkness. All we got is a candlelight, but I got infrared.
Yeah.
And I'm zoomed in. I can see everybody's facial expressions. And man, I will forever have that etched in my mind. Like your face, the way your just whole demeanor was. I mean, it wasn't you.
No.
I know you, and that was not you whatsoever. I mean, that night was it just blew me. That really did blow my mind though, because I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, what if this was a point of no return? What if he goes so far that we can't get him out?
It's dark down below. It's dark down below.
Let me ask you this. After experiencing everything you've experienced, the road that you've gone down, would you want to do that again in order to get the evidence that you got? Was it worth it?
It's dark down below.
Yeah, as crazy as that situation was, I think that's why we do what we do.
Just to get right.
Yeah.
It's almost like a peace of mind.